Hey, thanks for watching my video. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up. In this video, we're just going to do a quick oil change on a 5th generation Honda VFR 800. Once you get the plastic off this bike, it's actually pretty easy to work on, but it is kind of a chore to get the plastic off. So first thing we're going to do with the 17mm socket is remove the oil drain plug. I do like that Honda used a larger drain plug on their older bikes. It's just easier to get a wrench on and get it off. This bike I've only owned for 21 years. This is May of 2021 when this video was shot, and I've had this bike for right at 21 years, right around that area. I bought this bike after my 96 VFR 750 had been totaled back in 2000. So thank you, State Farm, for buying me this bike. I appreciate it. So while the oil is draining out of this bike right now, I noticed when I pulled the plug that I have reused this crush washer maybe one time too many. So typically you can get, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 uses out of a crush washer if you don't over tighten your drain plug. I would say I probably have at least 5 uses out of this one. The crush washer is just an aluminum washer, and its job is to flatten out and create a seal when you tighten down the plug. It is absolutely okay to reuse your crush washer on your VFR, on your oil drain plug. It is not okay to reuse the crush washer on your brake system, so keep that in mind. The crush washer is only about $1 from Honda. You don't have to go to Honda. You can go to your local auto parts store and buy a crush washer. I typically buy crush washers by the 100 count. It makes them a lot cheaper. You can usually get about 100 crush washers for, I don't know, maybe 15 bucks. So makes it worthwhile. And I'm just taking a pair of wire cutters, and I just cut the crush washer off and then wiggled it up the drain plug. So there's the new crush washer, and when you notice the new crush washer, and this is an OEM Honda crush washer I'm putting on it, it is kind of wobbly. It's not, snug up against the threads, but that's okay. Once you tighten it down, it does its job and it seals the drain plug to the oil pan. So this is a Honda oil filter wrench. You can get this wrench pretty much anywhere online. I also like the ratchet style socket kind of wrenches, but this one's okay. And once you get your oil filter loose, then just spin it off. Any oil that happens to drop on your header pipe, make sure you clean that oil off, or you'll be smelling it when you pull up to the red light. So right now, while the oil is done draining out of the oil pan, I'm just letting the oil drip off of the oil filter where the oil filter sits on the bike. So I just go ahead and tighten down my drain plug, get that out of the way and done. And again, you don't really need a torque wrench to tighten down your oil plug. If you like using a torque wrench, go ahead. If you pull it tight, just pull it tight until you can kind of feel the crush washer tighten down, and then just stop. Don't over tighten your oil filter drain plug. There's no need for it. So here's the new oil filter I'm going to put on. It is an OEM Honda oil filter, and every one of my videos where I do an oil change, you will always see me using an OEM oil filter. It doesn't make sense to save $1 on your oil filter and never ever use a K&N branded oil filter. So with that being said, just go with OEM. I buy OEM filters also in bulk. I usually buy them 10, 12 at a time, and I can usually get the price down around $11 an oil filter. So $11 for an OEM oil filter is well worth the money. And I took a little bit of oil out of the drain pan and just put a light coat of oil on the seal on the oil filter, and then I get it hand tight. And once that oil filter is hand tight, just give it about maybe a quarter of a turn. That way that you know that the oil filter is on there very snug, very secure. Do not over tighten your oil filter. If you over tighten your oil filter, you'll blow the seal out of the side of it, and you'll make it about 100 miles, and then you'll lose all your oil. It'll pump out onto the road. So there's your oil filter installed, and we're done at this side of the bike. And you can see the oil filter in there. That's where that's at. There's your drain plug, tightened down. And then we can jump over to the other side and we can start filling the bike up with oil. I'm also not going to tell you what kind of oil to use in your motorcycle. I know it is a hot topic. If you own a VFR and you go to one of the whiny websites like VFR Discussion, those clowns will sit and argue about oil filter and tires all day long, and even on posts that aren't related to oil filter and tires, those crybabies will talk about oil and tires. Just insane. I personally use Mobil 1 10W40 high mileage. It does not have any kind of energy increasing additives. It will not mess up your clutch discs. But if you want to pay top dollar for motorcycle oils, be my guest. It's your bike. Do what you want. I can tell you that in the 21 years that I've had this bike, most of that time this bike has gotten the Mobil 1 in the 5-quart jug from the Walmart store, and I never pay more than like $23 for the jug. And when it's on sale, I buy as many jugs as I can get in the buggy. And I've never had a clutch problem, and I've never babied this bike. This bike currently has 54,000 miles on it. This is the 54,000 mile oil change. The bike runs amazing. It looks pretty good for its age and how much wear and tear and abuse I've given it. Fortunately for me, I've never crashed it, and the bike's never been down. So when you're filling up your oil, you can look in your owner's manual under the seat, and it'll tell you how much oil that your bike takes. What I typically do is overfill the oil in the sight glass, and then I start it up and I let the filter fill up. And then after about 5 minutes, I shut the motorcycle off and let the oil settle in the case, and then I top it off. On this particular bike, I will run the oil at the high line. I'm not really that abusive anymore on this bike. When I go out and ride it, I just go out more or less just to ride this bike and show it off. A lot of people don't even remember the 5th generation VFR. When I had my 4th generation VFRs, nobody remembered those either. It was pretty cool when my wife and I had matching 4th gen VFRs, and we would pull up in places. And that's recent. That's within like 2012, 2013. My wife and I both had matching 96 VFRs. And a lot of places we go, people would think it was a new bike, and we wouldn't tell them any different. So we've got our oil, and you see that the sight glass is full right now. So the oil's in. And now it's time to start it up and let that oil fill into the oil filter and get mixed around the engine. And just like a Honda, this bike starts every time you hit the key. I put nothing but ethanol-free gas in it since 2000 when I bought it. Maybe a few times I've gotten stuck out on the road somewhere and wasn't able to find ethanol-free gasoline. But I'm here to tell you, if this bike had something other than ethanol-free gasoline, I did put conditioner in the tank. And this bike's just been great. This is the 5th generation VFR. Is just one of those bikes you should own at least once in your life. Between the 4th gen and the 5th gen, I'm going to say the 4th gen VFR was probably my favorite VFR. But last year I got rid of all my carbureted bikes, so that means the 4th gen had to go. I do miss my 4th gen, but the 5th gen's okay. I do like the linked brakings. I like the bike overall in general. It sounds amazing, and this bike's been a great VFR to own. In fact, that's the tag, GR8 VFR. I do have an 8th gen VFR Deluxe. I like it a lot. I use it more for touring. My wife likes the back seat on it, so that's more my touring bike. So here we go. I'm adding some more oil to it. You can almost tell that it was at the low line after I turned it off and it sat. I did cut out about 10 minutes that the bike sat in the garage while the oil settled. So now I'm just taking the oil up to the high line. And now with the cap on, I just need to button the bike back up and it'll be ready to hit the mountains again. So thanks for watching this video. Like I said at the beginning, if you like it, please give me a thumbs up.